All right, 3Gs, guys, welcome back. Pretty excited about this video. Got a bad start there. Yeah, so back on the Accord. And then my last video was about turning rotors, which, like I said, I cannot remember the last time I got a set of rotors turned, but it kind of turned out to be a really fun thing. So pulled the rotors off, took them to the shop down the street. Bada bing, bada bang, and in less than an hour, two very nice turned rotors. So, pretty impressed. The price was not bad. It was the turn two rotors was the cost of about, I'd say, close to that what that rotor would cost without the hole pattern drilled. So I'm pretty happy with the whole thing. Kind of fun story I'll probably tell someday, but he didn't really want me to video what he was doing. He's kind of it's an older shop, an older place. They've been in business since 1981. It's called World Clutch. It's here in Knoxville. But yeah, fun story. Ended up talking to the guy for quite a while. So, yeah, and got the rotors turned. So less than an hour. But obviously, part of the turning rotors is if you turn them too thin, they're not going to be any good. And that's what's happened over the years, that rotors have been, the minimum thickness is so close to what you're turning to get them trued back up or cleaned up or whatever. You're going to get down to the minimum thickness when you turn them. So a lot of shops just got away from doing it. But he does clutches and stuff, and heavy-duty clutches, truck clutches. Pretty interesting little setup there. I did not see the machine he turned it on. I'm assuming it was a brake lathe. I don't think it was a regular lathe. I have a regular lathe at work that I use. Part of it is these rotors are too tall to use on that lathe. But also part of it is I can't quite get it the finish where I like it. It doesn't have back gear. It's hard to explain real quick, but lathes have certain speeds, and you really need a pretty slow speed to do what you're doing here. I could probably do it on the lathe, but it's kind of cool to do all this anyway. But yeah, so, and they hold it pretty tight. They use the center hub to turn a brake rotor on a brake rotor turner machine, so, or a brake lathe as they call it. So that kind of helps the accuracy a little bit. I got a 3-jaw chuck set up on my lathe right now. That's going to be 3 or 4 thousandths. You need to be a thousandths or under, and you're not going to get that on a 3-jaw chuck without a lot of work. But anyway, so I digress a little bit. That was kind of a machinist story, but yeah, so got them turned. Pretty excited about it. I'm going to go ahead and some of this stuff's kind of boring, but I should go through it anyway. So I went ahead and pulled up the specs for the rotors. And again, I use these rotors. These are for Integra Type R. They're, and it'll tell it here someplace. I think 280. Yeah, 280 millimeters, 11.08. They're considered 11.1 inches. So that actually adds 0.7 an inch to my typical Honda here. And as you can see, I've tried to mess with the light, but the finish came out pretty good. They're pretty rusty on the outside, if y'all remember. The inside wasn't too bad. But I like the finish. It's not glossy smooth, and I don't want it to be glossy smooth because I'm going to put new brake pads on here, and I'm excited about that, actually. But, yeah, so anyway, those are the specs. And as you can see, too, if you wanted to, the rotors. A Ray Bestis rotor, $22. I mean, cheap. Now, obviously, the bolt pattern for my car isn't correct. But he told me, he says, if you bring another set of rotors in, he'd fix this mess here where somebody didn't really do the bolt pattern right. If you did the bolt pattern right, you'd probably end up eliminating the two little hold-down holes, I guess right here and right here. And he said I could do it, and I could do it too. I've got a Bridgeport lathe, or Bridgeport mill at work, so. But anyway, he thought it was kind of interesting. So fun old gentleman. But so I went ahead and mic'd everything, and so the minimum thickness, and this is important actually, is the minimum discard up at the top. It says 21 millimeters or 827 thousandths. So I didn't check them until I got home. I don't know if he ever really did, but as you can see, they look good. So 22.2 millimeters, and the minimum is 21. So we're in good shape right there. And I'll go ahead and do the, let's see if I can do it without knocking this off. I hate to mess up my calipers. Okay, and it's 874 thousandths for you regular guys. It's a little easier for me to do thousandths than metric and something like this. So 874, discard thickness 827, so rapid math says 50, right? Yeah, maybe 47. Well, let's call it 50 thousandths. So not bad, and that was kind of part of the thing why I did this conversion in 2006, and I'm the first person to do it, even though there's some people that did it afterwards, you know, and word for word copy me, whatever. Yeah, it was about warping rotors. And see, with these rotors, they're quite a bit thicker because you're coming in at the nominal thickness 23. That's pretty considerable thickness, and that's because this car was the Integra Type R was considered a performance car, so they gave the rotor a little bit thicker meat on it for heat dissipation. Obviously, they don't care about turning rotors, but yeah, so they came out pretty good, so I'm going to put them back on. But what I'm more excited about, well, I don't know if I'm more excited about, but I'm excited about that too, is I went ahead and decided to get me a new set of brake pads too. And these brake pads, there's the part number right there, which is the D503. We talked about that. The FMSI number is D503 for Integra brakes, and there was literally like 42 different types of brake pads I could get on Rock Auto. So I picked this brand, and it's called Diversified, I believe. No, Dynamic Friction Corporation. Yeah, I should practice that. I picked them because the Camaro website, I've got a Gen 6 Camaro. They talked really good about them, so I'm gonna try them. USA, Los Angeles, Dynamic Friction. Yeah, I'm gonna try them. I'm pretty excited about them. Let's look at the specs real quick. And I'll give you the little blurb here. I love some of these little blurbs that they... Dynamic friction active performance brake pads are extremely high torque material with aggressive initial bite, medium high linear rising torque curve, engineered to meet the demands of weekend off-roader, high performance enthusiast, spirited street car driver, and weekend track racer. All right, that's a mouthful. Anyway, so they're scorched. One thing is they said it down there at the bottom, scorched to minimize initial braking. I kind of like that. They're chamfered, and they got this rubber to steel to rubber shim. I haven't actually opened up the box, but they show it right here for squealing, which I've never had any problem with. Floating rotors, or floating calipers, you don't have really problems with squealing, but fixed ones you do. That's cool. I'm kind of interested in the initial bite. That's what I always look for in this car. So, and they were reasonably priced. Am I allowed to say that? 48 bucks? Yeah, I mean, that seems really reasonable to me. Anyway, so I'm excited about that. I'm gonna keep my EBC yellows because they're in good shape. And it came with the hardware separate. So here's my box. I'm not doing a goofy unboxing thing, but there's the hardware. And I kind of like it that they got, it's kind of like a black anodizing on there or something, or not anodizing on steel, but it looks good. And I got some, kind of a weird story, but I've got some new lug nuts for my wife's Subaru because they're known to gall and snap off. So, and I'm actually proud because they're made in USA. And then I got some good lug nuts, which are also made in USA. McGuard, yeah. So that's really Subaru stuff, so I don't want to hear about that too much. But I might do a video about that. So, yeah, anyway, let me take a deep breath. And, yeah, I'm pretty excited about the whole thing. So, fresh rotors, fresh meat, not rusted, right? Like they were in the last video, both sides. And, you know, for now... Oh, boy. There goes my calipers. That was nice. I knew that wouldn't last. And I broke the backing plate on it. I was just going to tell everybody you should always get a good set of calipers, but I just wrecked mine. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about putting these on, and I'm definitely not right now going to do. I killed them. Oh, that's sad. I'm definitely not going to do calipers right now, but I probably should. Because the reason why I say that is when we come around to the passenger side of the car, and I had like a little weird lockup problem. You can kind of see the boot is drawn in. This camera's doing a great job too. I love that. And you can see how thick the EBC yellow pads are, but I am going to change them. I'm going to keep these pads, but I'm going to change them. So that tells me that piston, and this is mostly from sitting, it's really hard on a car, and these are floating calipers, so that pin is got to let this caliper float on this solid bracket here. Something going on there. So probably what I'm going to do is going to take these pads out, and then I might push this piston back in a couple times, back and forth a few times, and put something in here so I can actually use the pedal to pop it out. But I got a feeling that I really should probably invest in some calipers. And the calipers aren't bad either. That's the whole great thing about this Integra Type R setup, is everything's off the shelf. So you can stop in any place in the world and get, you know, calipers or pads or even the rotors or anything. There's nothing weird about or aftermarket about this. It's a nice little upgrade. And then it does fit under 15-inch rims, which 15-inch rims and tires, the 205, you know, 50s and all that, is a great setup on a little Honda car because the overall height stays the same. There's a lot going on here, but that's kind of important. If you want to step up to a taller rotor, you're going to have to go to a taller rim, the 17-inch. And a 17-inch rim means a bigger tire, and then you're getting into what I call the monster truck tires, where the overall height is really killing your gearing. And this motor, you know, 130 horsepower, you need every little bit you can help. So it kind of doesn't really help you to put a taller tire on a car this size. So yeah, that's where we're at. I mean, I'm pretty excited. Like I said, I'm probably not going to do all the work tonight. I'm going to mess with the calipers a little bit. I'm going to definitely think I'm going to go ahead and lube the pins up and make sure the calipers are floating really good like they're supposed to. It's not a fixed setup. And obviously the trick to this whole thing is this bracket. Really, it just spaces out the caliper bracket, and it's just a shimmed deal. I believe that's about 145,000. So I just wrecked my caliper, so I ain't gonna get the measurement. But yeah, that's the whole trick to it. So besides this custom deal in bolts, you want to use the right length bolt so it doesn't penetrate too far. That's all you really got right there, man. So pretty cool little setup. I did this in 2006. I had some help with some guys on 3Gs, and I wanted to thank you. And it's just worked out great for me. And the other thing is, those are original calipers from 2006. So yeah, it's 2023. Maybe I should get a new set. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to mess around with them. Like I said, I got new brake pads, turned rotors, new hardware. Yeah, pretty excited about that. And as always, the thing with performance brake pads, and these are like a kind of like a hybrid track, maybe high street pad is. I do use 200 tread wear tires, which we've talked about that a little bit before, but you know, you got to have grip. And these tires, they do pretty well. So this brand and whatever. And there's plenty of other 200 tread wear tires. I am probably going to get a new set in the spring because these are pretty old. And they've been outside and gotten in cold weather and stuff. And I think most of us know that once you do that, you kind of kill the grip of them. I mean, there's plenty of tread. Tread is not the problem. It's the compound. So, yeah. So we're going to work on that. But pretty excited about the whole setup. But Another hot set of brake pads and new rotors. Gonna drive around a little bit, and that's probably all I got. Besides, I guess I need new calipers. But yeah, and I think the only negative is I kind of messed up on the battery. It's my fault. I left the door open, and when I came in, when I left everything hooked up, the battery voltage read 5 volts, which is, that's not good. So now we're at 12.37, and that's with me having the charger on. I've had the charger on about an hour. So luckily I've got a yellow top battery, and that's why I get one of these. So if you do drain it or don't charge it all the time, it should be able to survive a couple of these discharges like that. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted on the old Optima, but like I said, it's pretty new. I'm going to lay a nice charge on it. It was reading 12.8 the other day. Everything was cool. It's my fault. Left the door open. Left the light on. So, yeah. And I'll just give it a good hot charge tonight. I'm only doing like a 10 amper on this right here. So, and it's taking a pretty good charge. So, that's my fault. I've done that myself. But, yeah, that's all I really got for tonight. Thanks for looking, and I appreciate it. I'll keep updating you. Like I said, I'm excited about getting the rotors turned and seeing how it all comes out. I'll definitely report back if I got any kind of vibration or other weirdness, but I think this guy did a good job. He turns flywheels and all kinds of other stuff. He's been there since 1981. He's no dummy. So he knows what he's doing. But yeah, kind of fun. So I appreciate y'all looking, and thanks for subscribing, and I will keep posting videos. All right, Old Blue over and out. Thank you.